Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Sorry I look like a mess. I didn't brush my hair yet. I was just gonna do that after I finish the makeup look. I hope everything is well with you guys. Welcome back to the cold case series. Today we are going to be talking about the Keddie cabin murders in California. I'm very excited. Also, got my nose pierced and got a new tattoo. So today we're gonna be talking about the Keddie cabin murders, and the makeup I'm doing today literally does not relate to the case at all because I did not know. Yeah, throughout the video though today I will be popping up like pictures so that way you guys can see like the murder weapons. And trigger warning, I will post a picture of the crime scene, but it's not, their bodies aren't there. You can't find any pictures where their bodies were, but there may be some blood. So if you don't want to see that, just either skip right through or don't watch. I'll probably tell you before I put up a picture, but I wanted to let you guys know that that is happening today. Alright, so if you like this series, please comment, like, subscribe. You know what it is. Turn on that notification bell so you get to watch this wonderful cold case series every Friday, and let's get into it. Alright, so I am going to try out something new today before we get started. I bought this yesterday at Ulta and I've heard really good reviews about it, but I mean I've never tried it before, but it's the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, and I really want to try it. So let's give a little review at the beginning of this video. It doesn't really smell like anything. That's good. This is what it looks like in its container. It looks like putty. And it just said on the box like, apply a thin layer over moisturized skin. And so let's do it. I just guess I'm gonna swipe my finger, but oh shoot, my finger slid. It is really smooth though, like it's soft and it's like cool when it goes on your skin. I mean, I felt really soft on my skin, and like it's like, I don't know, I can barely feel it. It's like lightweight. I don't know. Oh, I think I like it. So I'ma prime my eyes. Alright, we're back. Sorry about that. I had to do my stuff. Okay, let's get started. We are gonna talk about the Keddie cabin murders, which happened in 1981. Alright, the Keddie cabin murder... the Keddie cabin murders. It's like a tongue twister. I don't know why it's so hard to say. If you don't know what it is, what these murders are, it's a quadruple homicide that happened in Keddie, California, at like, they call it a resort town. I don't really know what that means. They were just, so this family was renting this cabin. This happened on April 11th, 1981. The people who were murdered were Suzanne Sharp, John Sharp, Dana Wingate, and Tina Sharp. So Dana Wingate was like a friend of Tina's that was staying over, or a friend of John. I don't know. But okay, so they were all found by Sheila, another daughter who had stayed in another cabin that night. Luckily, little did she know that she was saving herself, like she didn't even know. Her two younger brothers, there were two other sons, two young boys, that were in the other room of the cabin, but they were untouched. And they were also had a friend sleep over, and his name was Justin Smart. They were all left untouched, while literally in the next room over, a brutal murder happened. And we'll get into how the hell they slept through it, because I have no idea. But I mean, I can sleep through anything, so but people screaming, maybe not. So I don't know. One of the daughters, Tina, she was one of the ones murdered. She was not at the scene though. She was missing. She wasn't found until 3 years later, right around the anniversary I think it actually was on the, right on the anniversary actually of the murders, she was found. And it was like an anonymous tip that was given. Like, someone was like, I found Tina's skull. First of all, why'd you mention her by name, and how would you know that that's her skull unless you are the killer? A lot of people think the anonymous tip was, in fact, the killer, and then they did go and find Tina's body, and it was only like, 10 miles from the crime scene, something like that, 15 miles, I don't know. The FBI actually got involved in Tina's case, and there were like search parties out looking for her, and dogs searching through the forest. Like, it was crazy that they were searching hard for her, but they did not ever find her until the killer called and said, I know where Tina's body is. So let's talk about a little like background of the story. In 1980, Sue and her 5 children left her husband because she was in an abusive relationship, and she was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. So she ventured out as a single mom, and she didn't have a lot of money to support her kids, so that's why they moved to Keddie. It wasn't that expensive, and they just rented that cabin until they were murdered. They lived in Connecticut, and they moved all the way to California. It's kind of wild, because that is a far distance to move away. She moved to California because her brother Don was living there, so she knew someone, so that's why she chose to move to Keddie specifically, because her brother Don lived there, and they moved into Cabin 28. There's actually a movie called Cabin 28. I haven't seen it. If anybody's seen it, is it good? Is it worth watching? I don't know. So, yeah, she moved into Cabin 28 with her children, and they lived there for a while, and this is a really small town. Everyone knows everyone. It's kind of frustrating. On April 11th, 1981, around 1:30, Sue and Sheila drove from Keddie to pick up John and his friend. Oh, so it was John's friend, Dana Wingate. That same evening, Sheila, the daughter who found everyone, had plans to spend the night at her friend's house, the Seabolt family, and so she was going over there, and she left, and she went over there, and Sue stayed home with Rick, Greg, and the boy's friend, Justin Smart. Sheila left the cabin at 8 to go to the Seabolts, oops, and the entire family was at the Seabolts watching TV until about 9:30, so then they went back home. Sheila stayed over, though, and just hung out there until the morning of the murder. Well, not of the murder, when she found them, which was pretty brutal. So, again, if you see me looking down here, I'm looking at my notes. So, that is why I do be looking down. I like to write out my notes for each case so that I don't give you guys false information, and it's not just me telling my memory of what I read or watched about the story. Also, this is on BuzzFeed, went to where the cabin was, and they saw like the remains. They had to tear it down, like bulldoze the cabin, because it became kind of like a tourist attraction. Like, people were like, oh, a murder happened here, we gotta go visit, like, and like started squatting in the houses, and it's just like in Cabin 28. So, around 7 in the morning, first of all, I would not have returned home that early, but whatever. At 7 in the morning, Sheila came home from her friend's cabin, and on April 12th, and discovered the bodies of her family. Except Tina was missing, so. And the boys in the other room, untouched, like I said. They were all taped up and bound by like electrical wire. It was a really brutal scene. There was blood on the walls, on the floor, everywhere. It looked like I saw something that someone said like it looked like a crime of passion. I mean, it didn't look like it was just like stab, leave. It was like stab, 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 stab. This is fun, haha. Apparently, you know how I said they slept through the incident? Apparently this later had been contradicted. I know. Justin Smart, one of the boys, they put him under hypnosis and they asked him if he actually remembered seeing anything. And he did. And then he described like the two like suspects for them. I forgot that happened. So after Sheila discovered the scene, she rushed back to the Seabolts, and apparently the dad of the Seabolts like rushed in through like the back door to make sure like no one was in there, and like grabbed the boys so that like, you know, they could take them to safety in case anybody was left inside the house, which possibly contaminated evidence because he was walking everywhere. He was seeing if anyone else was alive, but he was just walking all over the floor and messing up stuff, so we don't know. He possibly contaminated stuff. A lot of the evidence in these cold case murders are it's so frustrating because it's all messed up. They mess up the evidence, and I will show you the pictures here. 2 bloodied hammers and two bloodied knives and 1 hammer was found at the scene. One of the knives was a steak knife, which I'll show, which was used in the murders. It was bent in half due to extreme force. Blood splatter evidence from inside the house showed that the murders of Sue, John, and Dana had all taken place in the living room. So that's kind of sad that they were all taken into the same room to be murdered. Unless they were already in there and someone, you know, watching TV or something. Sue was discovered lying on her side near the living room sofa, nude from the waist down. Sorry, this gets a little graphic, but... and gagged with a blue bandana and her own panties, which had been secured with tape. I hate the word panties. I can't believe I just said that. Ugh. Yeah, she'd been stabbed in the chest, her throat was slashed, and on the side of her head was an imprint matching the butt of a Daisy 880 BB gun. John's throat was slashed. Dana had multiple head injuries and had been manually strangled. All 3 blunt force trauma to their heads caused by a hammer, or hammers as they said, and autopsies determined that they died from the knife wounds and blunt force trauma. So they've been smacked on the head a bunch of times and other terrible things. Ugh. Their murders are still currently being investigated because there's a whole bunch of evidence that's like... because, okay, I'm just gonna say it so I don't forget. The police made this... we're getting into the investigation anyways. The police made this a cover-up, bro. The police of the town covered this shit up so terribly. Someone reopened it. I forget what year. But that's the investigation they're currently working on now. So apparently the Seabolt family had been awakened at like 1:30 in the morning by muffled screaming, but they didn't know where it was coming from. So they were awoken, little did they know, by their next door neighbors being murdered. But they did not know, so it's not like they went to go look. Also, if there's a killer around, I ain't going to check. Because, you know, in the woods, people scream all the time. So, Tina's jacket, shoes, and a shoebox containing various tools were missing from the cabin. Like, her stuff was missing and tools were missing. So that's kind of weird. So, an unidentified fingerprint was found on the railing leading to the stairs. And they never identified it, I don't think. The cabin's telephone had been left off the hook, the lights were off, and the drapes were shut. Let's get into the El Suspectos. So there was a suspect, a guy like disappeared out of town shortly after the murders, and yes, this is a small town, so they're gonna be like, why you running? And then they got him, and they made him take a polygraph test, and then he was cleared because he didn't do it. Another suspect was Martin Smart. I keep calling him Short. Martin Smart and Marilyn Smart. Marilyn Smart wasn't a suspect, but Martin Smart, her husband, and his like partner in crime, Bo Boobette or something. So Martin Smart is trying to like lead the police away from, you know, saying it's him. They say they found Tina's jacket. Marilyn said she found Tina's jacket, a bloody jacket, in her basement, and then Martin's like, oh yeah, a claw hammer is also gone, like, from my basement. Like, he was just saying crazy things to get them to, like, not consider him a suspect, which, like, bruh, you're making yourself look very suspicious by saying all this junk. So he, actually, there's a reason to believe that he did it because, I believe that, because Sue had been counseling Marilyn on, like, her marriage with, Martin, because Martin is, like, really abusive, and Marilyn wanted to leave, and so, like, Sue was, like, coaching her on that, and when Martin found out, he went cuckoo. He was like, what the hell? Why are you finna try and leave me? You know how abusers are. Like, why are you trying to leave me? Blah, 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 blah. So, that's motive. Reason to believe that Martin did it. He had motive because Sue was trying to take his wife away and blah, 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 blah. So, he definitely one of the biggest suspects I think they had during this case. But they didn't really consider him a suspect because the cops were in on it. But, so the county sheriff, Doug Thomas, who was in charge of the case, stated that Martin had provided endless clues in the case that seemed to throw the suspicion away from him, like I was talking about. And also, while they were interviewing the Smarts, detectives interviewed numerous other locals and neighbors, including members of the Seabolt family, which they remember seeing a unknown green van parked at the Sharps' cabin around 9 p.m. Others noticing a brown Datsun parked at the residence that evening, which appeared that a tire was going flat. I really don't know how this is relevant, but somehow these people are like, yeah, I saw this car, but this car actually was there. Like, what? Because this case, I really enjoy, and the fact that it's being worked on right now, I really hope it is solved soon. Really soon. I really hope so. Also, I'm sorry, my makeup looks atrocious right this second. Justin gave conflicting stories. Okay, he's also a child, so, but he gave conflicting stories of what happened, including that he had dreamt details of the murder, though he claimed to actually have witnessed them. Like I said, they put him under hypnosis, and so that they got the actual truth, because when you're under hypnosis, you ain't got control of what you're saying. So he claimed to have heard sounds coming from the living room while watching TV in the bedroom with Rick and Greg. And while he investigated these sounds, he saw Sue with two men, one with a mustache and short hair, and the other with clean shaven with long hair. Both wore glasses. According to Justin, John and Dana then entered the home and began heatedly arguing with the men. A fight ensued, he said. After which, Tina entered the room and was taken out of the cabin's back door by one of the men. Has been snatched. She's gone. The men said, "Yeet!" and picked her up and took her away, which is so, we don't even know what happened to her, like what they did to her. I feel so terrible for this family, and I really hope justice is served, because a lot of the suspects that the police are considering are still alive today, so justice might be served in this case, and I really hope so. I don't know how old this kid was, like 10 maybe, I guess. The sketches that were made, I will drop them here. The sketches of the men, the original composite sketches, were produced by forensic artist Harlan Embry. In press releases accompanying the sketches, the suspects were described as being in their late 20s to early 30s. One stood between 5'11" and to 6 feet 2 inches. And the other one, okay, that one was tall with dark blonde hair, and the other between 5'6" and 5'10" with black greasy hair. And both wore block-framed glasses. So, like, they were like, alright, these men both are wearing glasses. That's important. Some people thought that this was like the aftermath of like maybe, sorry that was loud, like a drug crime, like drug trafficking crime. But someone said, I think it was her mom, a family acquaintance, said that Tina had stolen like a lot of LSD or something. I don't know, but that was never proved. So we don't. The police officers said that it wasn't a drug crime. This wasn't related, but yeah, like it wasn't like this wasn't no Charlie Manson stuff. So yeah, that's what happened. So let's talk about Tina. Her remains, like I said, were found 3 years later. But they received a call. Was definitely from the killer. And actually, what's really frustrating about that is, you know, they had the recording of the voice recording of the call. They never looked into it or tracked whose voice it was. Probably because it was someone they knew, so they just put it in a box and said no. Basically, any evidence they found for this case, they put it in a box and didn't touch again, which is so frustrating. So yeah, Tina's remains, she was abducted. The FBI, you know, looked for her on April 29th, 1981. They backed off the search as the Department of Justice was doing an adequate job and made the FBI's presence unnecessary. A grid pattern search of the area covering a 5-mile radius around the cabin was conducted with police canines, but the efforts, you know, they didn't find her, obviously, because the killer hit her really well. And so, on April 22nd, 1984, 3 years and 11 days after the murders, Tina's disappearance, a bottle collector discovered a cranium portion of a human skull and a mandible, so her jaw, at Camp 18 near Feather Falls in neighboring Butte County, a distance of roughly 100 miles from Keddie. Oh, I was way off. 100 miles, I guess, from where her family's murders happened. It's kind of wild, but yeah. The anonymous call said that the remains belonged to Tina. Weird. But it says the call was not documented in the case. Like I said, they had the recording, but they didn't do anything with it because they knew who it was. After 2013, someone was assigned to the case. The remains were confirmed by a forensic pathologist in 1984. Detectives also discovered a blue nylon jacket, a blanket, and a pair of Levi Strauss jeans with a missing back pocket and an empty surgical tape dispenser. All things, like the jacket and the jeans, like I understand, but why was there a tape dispenser? They did not really have any other suspects other than Martin Smart, that guy. Yeah, I really don't like him. They didn't really have any suspects. They had a guy named Robert Joseph Silveira Jr. So, the cabin in which the murders happened, like I said, you know, so nothing really happened with that guy. That's what I'm reading in my notes. Nothing happened. But, oh, his name was Bo Bobetti. That's his name. That was Martin Smart's, like, partner in crime, and he turned out to be an ex-con. Bro, are you kidding? He helped you do it. He helped you do it. So, I think that's who did it, was Martin Smart. He had motive, and he had an ex-con for a best friend. So, you're telling me you didn't do it? And there was a letter apparently found that he wrote to, Marilyn that said, something like, I've done everything I can for you. I've even given you, like, I've even, like, killed these 4 people for you, and now you're leaving me. What the hell? Like, what? And Marilyn says that she doesn't remember receiving that letter. But she does recognize her husband's, well, ex-husband now, because she left that hole, her ex-husband's handwriting. So even if they did do it, what's really sad is that they are now dead. Martin Smart and Betty, whatever the freak his name is. Their faces kind of fit the description, but I don't think Martin wore glasses, and so like that also makes me kind of think like, oh, maybe it wasn't them, but maybe Martin was just a crazy guy, you know how it be? They be crazy people. But to me, it also seems a lot like Martin did it. So back to the evidence. The police officers had a lot of evidence. And you know what they did? They said, oh, evidence for this case. Because the police officer I mentioned earlier, the Douglas guy, he was good friends with Martin Smart and his wife, Marilyn. And they actually came to him for, like, they were having, you know, struggling with their marriage, and they came to him for marriage advice, and he tried to say, oh, Martin was no friend of mine. I'm sorry, if they're not your friend, why would they come to you for marriage advice? You're a sheriff. So obviously you're friends. So this looked like a classic cover-up because police officers weren't in on it, but they tried to say, no, we don't know anything. But yeah, they didn't have any suspects, and the only suspect they did have was Martin Smart and his buddy, and they were friends with the police, so they're not gonna get charged with anything, which is annoying. This murder has not been solved yet. I'm glad that they're investigating it literally right now. The new cops who are working on it are like the new detectives. Are like, yeah, they just didn't look at the evidence. They just like ignored the evidence, which is not good. But the new cop had been assigned to the case. I don't know his name, but yeah, he'd been assigned to the case, and he's like, yeah, there's a lot of things they just didn't investigate, and we are going to investigate. And they said all their suspects that they believe might have done it are alive, but I don't know who they have in mind, because apparently I think a set of DNA matched, like the fingerprints that were taken of the railing matched a suspect that apparently is alive, but I don't know who. It's actually a movie called The Strangers, which kind of, you know, re-brought up the case and like made people interested in it again, which is kind of sad that like a movie has to like re-interest people in a case. So around 2 a.m. on Marilyn claimed on the evening of the crimes that Martin and Beau, whatever his name is, they went to a local bar around 11 and returned home to go to sleep. Around 2 a.m. she stayed awake to find the two burning an unknown item in the wood stove. Additionally, she alleged that Martin hated Johnny Sharp with a passion. However, in 2008, Sheriff Doug Thomas had personally interviewed Martin, and that Martin had passed a polygraph. I don't believe that BS for a second, that he passed a polygraph exam. You were his friend. Martin Smart died of cancer in Portland, Oregon in June 2000, and Beau, originally, he died in Chicago. I don't know why I said originally, but he died in Chicago. So yeah. And they found a hammer, like recently in 2016, they found a hammer, blah, 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 I don't know. The location they said had been found at, they said it would have it looks like it intentionally was put there to be found. So that's intriguing. I found the letter. Okay, he said, I've paid the price of your love, and now I've bought it with 4 people's lives. Bruh, is that not evidence enough that he did it? I'm confused. You don't think that's evidence? Sorry, today's case was kind of like all over the place. I'm not as familiar with this case, but I tried to familiarize. I just wanted to make sure. The only reason I was looking down so much, I just want to make sure I'm always giving you guys like straight up facts. I'm not trying to like give false information or just literally like tell the story from my memory. I like to have specifics, especially when it comes to these cold cases. Like, I need to have like the specifics, or else like I don't know, that kind of irritates me if I don't have the specifics. But yeah, I am gonna do my lashes and then I'll be right back. Bye. Alright, I am back. Also, look at this busted up lipstick. Thank you guys for watching the video today. Again, so please let me know though down below if you like this series. I hope you do. And yeah, comment, subscribe, my bangs always be banging. Comment, subscribe, like, give me a thumbs. That's the same thing as like. I was gonna say give me a thumbs up. But yeah, that is the video for today. Again, sorry it was all over the place. Kind of new to this case, but I just wanted to give you guys the straight facts. So I hope you enjoyed. I showed my eyeliner this time, and of course it was booty looking. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe and turn on your notification bell. That'd be great. Alright, thank you so much.